Looking at live pictures there of the Christmas lights. This is Cherokee, Iowa, small town, just a few thousand people. One of the many communities where you find small town conservative voters, evangelical voters. Right before the break, you heard the Texas Governor Rick Perry making the analogy to Tim Tebow, the Denver Broncos quarterback, in last night's debate. As Governor Perry sees it, like Tim Tebow, maybe the beginning of the game hasn't gone so well. He expects, he says, through some retail politicking in small towns like this, to stage a comeback here in Iowa. So, had a conversation right here in the Copper Cup Cafe with Governor Perry a short time ago, and I began with that Tebow comparison in last night's debate. Governor, thank you for your time. I want to start with your Tim Tebow analogy last night. If you take that literally, that would mean essentially that you stunk the joint out for three quarters, but you're going to close and win it in the end. Is that how you see it?
You know, there may be some after my first three debates that somebody said, you know, we stunk it up pretty bad, but we've got our feet back under us now. We've had three, you know, really good debates, and last night I think we had the opportunity to really get our message home and hammer it home about being an outsider, about getting this country back working. So, yeah, that's my goal, is to Tim Tebow, I got great respect for him, both a man of faith and quite a talent. And a lot of people said he couldn't make it, couldn't do it, and he's showing them wrong.
And when you make the reference to man of faith, he is somebody, he's an evangelical himself, and that's a very important constituency in this state, especially in small towns like Cherokee here. This is where Mike Huckabee did most of his business back in 2008. If you look at the polling right now, you're struggling a bit. You're fourth among evangelical voters in our polls. Speaker Gingrich, Ron Paul, Governor Romney, and then Rick Perry. And then you have Santorum and Bachmann just below you. I was talking to some women earlier here, and they were all saying we're torn between Santorum, Bachmann, and Perry.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make up our mind. Why, of those three, should they pick you?
Well, obviously I think you have three people that are strong Christians, or three people that have strong fiscal leanings. I'm the one that has the outside impact, though. I'm not a part of Washington, D.C. And I'm also 11 years of executive governing experience that has had a record of job creation that's unparalleled in this country. So if you're looking for a person who has values, a person who understands job creation, a person that's all about freedom, then I'll be the one they settle on.
You just started your speech here, and the first candidate you drew a contrast with was not Speaker Gingrich, not Governor Romney, but was Dr. Paul.
Yeah. Well,
is he a threat here?
Well, the issue was that last night I was really taken aback by the just the power of his statement, from the standpoint of allowing the mullahs and a madman to come into possession of a nuclear bomb. And somehow or another that we should not care about that. We should not be engaged with Israel, our longtime friend and the longest democracy in the Middle East. Absolutely we should be. I mean, Israel is there should be no space between the United States and Israel. And I just was really taken aback by Dr. Paul's almost nonchalant statement about, let the mullahs go. There's not any evidence that they're getting a bomb, and that's certainly not my information. And I'm relying on some pretty wise and plugged-in people. I talk to John Bolton on a regular basis, and the ambassador is greatly concerned about Iran.
You are known as a good closer if you talk to your friends in Texas about campaigns. No more debates. 18 days till Iowa votes. Now you get to do it the old-fashioned way. Small towns like this, retail politics. Where does Governor Rick Perry draw the line in Iowa? What's your test? Do you have to be top 3, top 4 to keep going?
Oh, I don't have I don't have a line. I mean, my goal is to win Iowa. It's obviously an important state. It's the reason I'm spending the time in 44 cities right before Christmas, and I'll be back on the 27th and stay here until January the 3rd, asking people for their votes and retail politicking. I mean, I think that is going to be a formula that's going to be very successful.
You don't have a line, though?
No, I'm going to be in New Hampshire and then in South Carolina and then in Florida. So we're going to...
You mentioned South Carolina. Governor Haley endorsed Mitt Romney today.
Yeah.
A fellow conservative Southern governor. That sting a bit?
Not really. I mean, everybody gets to make a decision on who they're going to... And that's one vote. I'll be real honest with you. I've got Medal of Honor recipient General Jim Livingston, who endorsed me on the deck of the Yorktown last week, and no offense, but I like those guys that have that type of long-time records endorsement, and I greatly respect Governor Haley. But if I have to pick between the two, love having those veterans stand up and say, "This is the guy. This is the man for the job."
You're just talking about your record in Texas and the economy and jobs. There's a big debate in Washington right now about this payroll tax holiday extension.
Right.
And there are some people who've been for it in the past who say, you know what, we haven't seen evidence it's doing enough to stimulate the economy, and that money comes out of the Social Security Trust Fund. If you were president today, would you extend that?
No.
Would you let taxes go up, or would you do something else for middle-class families?
The permanent, or I should say temporary tax reductions aren't doing anything. What we need to be doing, this president, if he's serious about getting this country back on track, he'd be lowering the tax burden. He would be pulling back these regulations. He would be standing up and saying, you know what, we're going to build the XL pipeline. We're going to create these jobs. I mean, if I'm a blue-collar union guy, I'm not happy with this president because he's killing jobs that they could be having access to. So if this president is serious about getting the country back on track and about creating the environment where job creators, it's not about giving these, I would suggest to you rather gimmicky temporary tax cuts. Give real confidence by cutting these regulations. The regulations are what are killing the job creation in this country.
You had an ad that's airing here in Iowa. I'm going to read you a bit from the script. You don't need to be in the pew every Sunday. There's something wrong in our country, in this country, when gays can serve openly in the military, but our kids can't openly celebrate Christmas or pray in school. That went viral on the internet, and a lot of gay rights groups raised questions about your tolerance. How would you answer that?
Well, I think the president made a huge mistake when he, during a time of war, when we have troops in two different theaters, using them as a political tool to address an issue that is important to his political base. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was working, should have left it in place, but he, again, responded to his political base, just like he's responded to his political base on this XL pipeline issue with the radical environmental movement. I don't think that's good public policy. I don't think it's good for the military. And it ain't got anything to do with tolerance. I just think it's a bad public policy.
Would you switch it back now that it's been switched?
Absolutely.
Or you would switch it back?
I would switch it back. I would switch it back to Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Governor Perry, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas.
18 days of fun. Merry Christmas to you,
yes, sir.
Up next, we got our first look today at Private Bradley Manning. He's the soldier accused of passing classified documents to WikiLeaks. He was in court, and we'll have the details. Plus, throughout the program, we're counting down our top debate moments of the year. Here's number 4. Your rival is standing right there. If it was Obamacare on Fox News Sunday, why is it not Obamacare standing here with the governor right there?
President Obama is the person who I quoted in saying he looked to Massachusetts for designing his program. He's the one who said it's a blueprint in that he merged the two programs. And so using the term Obamacare was a reflection of the president's comments that he designed Obamacare on the Massachusetts health care plan.